Hey everyone, it's Lauren here, and I've got another layout share for the Kitaholic Kits April kit, and it's full of some of the Cocoa Vanilla Studio collection, and then it's also got some other goodies as well. So we have this lovely cut file that Anita's made, exclusive for us subscribers of the kit, and I just cut mine out with some black cardstock, just because I think it looks a bit more grungy, and it's just much more boy that way, I guess. Sometimes I'll cut it in the white cardstock, a cut file, and then I'll use my black paint pen to make it black, but it would have taken me forever with all this little detail. I'm just going to quickly show you how I started to mat the cut file, just in case there's something new to you, but I will fast forward and you don't have to watch the whole thing because this one was a little fiddly. So I'm just going to make the laces white and the bottom rim, sole of the shoes white as well. And then I'm going to use yellow as the main part of the shoe, and then add some blue and red with the little details of the shoe, the circles with the stars and stuff. So just putting a little bit of glue onto the section, onto these little laces here. So each section that you're working on, just put a tiny little bit of glue. You really don't need much at all. And then I just hold it there to dry for a bit. And then I work on the next one. If it's, if you're not feeling confident, just do one section by one section at a time. But I like to do some things like batching them. So I'll do all of them on this, and then go to the next step and do all of that in the next step, well, as much as I can. Anyway, so I'm just using my scissors here very carefully because you don't want to cut any edges of the cut file. So this bit was the outside, so that was obviously quick. But here you have to make sure you're angling the scissors to get underneath the edge of the cut file so that it's not overlapping the black edge, but also so that you don't cut the pieces of the cut file. So I pulled out the little scissors here, which I really don't like these little scissors, so I don't know why I even keep them, but I guess they helped a little bit here. Anyway, so here is it all, my cut file done, backed entirely with that paper and the cardstock, the white cardstock, and then I've done those blue circles and the red stars out of the pattern paper as well, and pattern paper and the Project Life cards. So I got a little photo here of my youngest. He went to kick a ball and accidentally followed through with his kick, and underneath the blanket that was sitting there was the scooter. So he kicked the scooter full force, and after x-rays and whatnot, it was just bruised, but it was bruised enough that he couldn't walk on it, and he had to stay and rest on for 3 days, had to get him crutches and all that. Anyway, I'm now going to do some mixed media onto the background. I was just thinking it just needed a touch of something, so I've got some acrylic paints here, and I'm just going to use the dauber here, but I'm just testing to see if the acrylic paints with the dauber works through this stencil and what it kind of looks like, and I work out that it will work, so I'm going to use that technique onto the pattern paper. But what I remember was that we have the stars. So I think the stars were much smaller, nicer detail. It also then links in with the stars that are on the shoes. And I'm just putting a little bit there in the middle, what's going to be covered with the shoes. It's like a little tester to make sure I could see this orangey colour on top of the other orange in the pattern paper. So I've marked out with a little pencil where my cut file is going to sit, those shoes, so that I can get the stenciling around it, not wasting it by having it covered up. And I'm just having a little play with trying to get them random. So making it random, you can do this by not going close to the edges and sort of going in a, so sort of making your edges rounded a bit. So that way you're not getting like a line, straight lines. So you can see here, done a fair bit of that, and that's looking good. I bring my shoe back in every now and then to check, and then I decided I wanted some black stars, and I was thinking about tracing through the stencil, or doing, and I didn't want any black modelling paste through it. I thought it'd be too much. So I pulled out the stamp set that we got in the kit as well, and I've just got it folded over that big long one so that I can just have a few of those random stars. It does give a little edge, you know, like a little smudge bit, that because I'm not using a acrylic block or anything, but it just looks really nice and grungy. I don't want too much, so I didn't want to use that other, the smaller stamp of it with all the stars, because there's too much stars in one little section. So just tidying up so that I can keep going. Just making sure every bit of mixed media was enough by hovering that shoe over each stamp or each stencil part, but it worked. Got it the way I wanted, and now I'm going to stick that up on fun foam and then work on embellishing the layout. Even though, and even now when I was editing, I thought the same. I really like it just like this, with nothing else on the page. The colours just worked really well. The cut file is just so divine, but I really wanted to put some embellishments on there as well. So I pull out some embellishments, thinking some yellow, orange, blue. There's not really any red. There's a little bit of red in the collection, but there's not really in the embellishments. So just pulling out what could work. I do pull out some of the light blue, but it's really only to tie in with these bows. So we also got these bows in the kit, which are from Pink Fresh, and they're fabric, and you get to, it's like a build a bow little situation. So you see here, I'm going to fold over those edges, then you layer it on top of this, the bottom part, and then you have a middle section that holds it all together. So just seeing how that looks in terms of the color combination, and I put two together thinking, well, they were, because I would have preferred three, but because of the colors, I couldn't make any others that were going to fit in with this layout. But that's okay. I work out how to use them and what I'm going to use. But you can see how quickly these little clusters come together. The one on the left changes dramatically, but the one on the right near the photo, it pretty much stays the same when I go to glue it down. And at the moment I've got the three clusters. I'm working on a cluster up the top just to have that visual triangle situation happening, but I'm just not sure. Like I said, I really thought it looked good with just the cut file in the photo, so it took me a long time to work out where to put everything, because it just wasn't, you know, the normal rules of what I do just wasn't happening, like the three clusters in a triangle kind of situation, because I take away that top cluster. And then, you know, the cut file's so big and it's like its own little focal point and cluster of its own. So that's where I sort of, it doesn't need much. So I've got to talk myself out of it and realize what I'm doing works really well, instead of continuing to fuss and muck around with them. It's the same with the title. The title took me forever on this layout. I don't know. Some days scrapbooking's just like that. Well, it is for me. Hopefully I'm not the only crazy one. So I thought maybe the third cluster could be down here with some journaling, because obviously there's a little story to this photo. But quickly take that away, and I'm just going to work on this cluster because I'm pretty sold on this cluster. So I figure what works I'm going to commit to, and then I will see what else comes from it. So sometimes you just have to bite the bullet like that and commit to what you know. Work on something that could help if you need to change task, and then come back. So just gluing this all down, and these bows are so nice. Actually, I think Anita made us a cut file, build a bow cut file as well, so we should play with that one. And that I could have definitely cut some of them out of this pattern paper, then it would have matched. But I don't know if you've heard me before, but I often don't, in the middle of a layout or even before a layout, decide to get out my silhouette machine and muck around with it. That's why in my monthly prep videos, it's so good to have them done then, so that I can just create without thinking, oh, I should have got a cut file, or, you know, feeling too lazy to do a cut file. So just having a play. I've got some of those stars that were from the printables, and I've printed them on some tracing paper, and just basically is vellum. And I'm just going to work on my title. So obviously these are not the right colours for this layout here, but I figured I would use my paint pen and change the colour of them. And so I first start with the word stuck, and then I change it to ouch, because gosh, it hurt him, poor thing. So like I said before, you got to work on something that you know is right. And I go into a doodly border and I put 2 lines on each edge, because I didn't know where I was going from here. So I committed to something I know was going to happen, and that was a doodly border at this time. And then I'm going to work on the rest of the stuff. I wonder if the title's going to go here, and I probably could have left it just like that. Actually, why didn't I leave it just like that? Title up there, a little cluster in a photo, and the cut file and all that mixed media just looks really nice. But it's okay, I like the end result too. So I think, okay, maybe I need to move this cluster down lower rather than having it at the top of the shoes, and that way it's not in line with the photo in terms of horizontally. It's diagonally obviously, but not horizontally in line. And then I think, okay, maybe I could use one of my ribbon bows, and that could be the 3rd bow, because I think that's what's throwing me off, not having 3 of those bows. But try as I might, as you can see, it's just not going to work. I even pull some others out and see if I can layer them up on that build a bow pieces, and double check and triple check and quadruple check that I haven't missed any of the yellow and blue pieces, so that I could make another one. But I haven't missed any. There is, there's the bottom pieces, but not the top pieces that are going to match. So I give that up. Again, I've moved my title back, and then I'm moving it back again. It's just, I don't know. Hopefully you guys understand my craziness with this layout today. So then I decide to move that tag and bring in those labels. And then I decide to spell ouch 2 more times, and decide that that could be my recurring feature in the embellishments, having the title be ouch, ouch, ouch. And you can see I can fit it in. Oh, excuse me, a big yawn. I could fit it in, but if you've seen the layout before you watch the video, you know I didn't use the 3 words ouch. So just having a little fussy cutting session, just fussy cutting those vellum stars, using a little bit of double-sided tape just to stick them down. If you're just using a little bit, you can't see it. If you can see it, it's because you're looking way too close. And you should just stand back and admire the 12 by 12 layout in its entirety. So again, fighting with the double-sided tape. Just going to add them in clusters of 3 around these 2 clusters. There's nothing, you know, nothing too strenuous about it. So I'm just ripping those those little labels in half so I could layer them up, and then also use those other half of the labels on another section. And I'm going to glue down this bow and glue down that banner strip with the word, and it's coming together. I'm committing. I keep looking at it, and I just decided, okay, I'm not hating it, so let's glue it down and keep working. Again, move the title, and again, move another part of the title. And I was liking the way that it was the banner section and the top cluster moving to the left. I like that triangle shape that way. But I do try, but I end up ditching that top cluster. So just needed to move that little tab because I moved the title over it and I didn't want to lose it. And then I decided I could use the other pieces of those labels up here, and that would be a nice little touch of colour and something to ground the title, because the banner by itself wasn't big enough with the title on it. And I pull out some stars, ready to fussy cut to add to that cluster again, like I have for the other two clusters. And then I go, hell no, get it off. So off it goes, and then I put the title back on, and I'm like, yep, we can put it all there. I keep lifting it up to see if I like it, because you can either stand up and look at it, the 12 by 12 in entirety, or hold it up like that so you can see it in its entirety, because the angle's different. So then I move all the words down to the bottom of the shoe, because why not? And then I go crazy, take them all off, and just leave the title up here. Moving it along so I can see that word, the tab that says noteworthy. And there, okay, ditching the letters. They're done. And then I decide it's going back here because that's where it belongs. And so moving that tab back, because that just completes the cluster, having it there rather than from in front of the shoe. Fiddling with the stars. This is how indecisive and annoyed I was getting. Moving the little stars slightly a little bit. Really not necessary to be so crazy about it, but I needed to do something and nothing was coming to me properly, so things took a little bit. So here's where I then look into my into my kit to see if there's anything else I'm missing that might help me complete the layout. And so I've pulled some tiny word stickers, and there's some really good fitting phrases, which was really nice. I pull off that banner sticker that I just put on, but it's because it's too big and I need some of these word stickers over this side of the layout with this cluster to even out the cluster on the other side. Again, holding it up, my goodness. And here's where I decide that the bows are in the wrong. I needed that one up there because it's got more of the just plain colour, not with the yellow, with the white, It's actually white flowers through that yellow bow, but I don't know how easy it is to tell. Anyway, so I decide just needs the one bow over there. It's better than two. 2 was an even number and it just wasn't working well. I pull out my orange paint pen, and I knew, but I wanted to make sure, but it was way too bright. So instead I pull out my white paint pen. This one's just from Big W, and they work really well. So I'm just going to go over the word ouch, and that just fits it in much better. You can see that it just goes with the layout, because white was the right colour. I could have done black, but I think it would have been overpowering. I want the black of the cut file to stand out. Now, I spared you some more muddling around with the words, with the title, and I've come back and the title is now Oh No, and I've put the O word up the top here and then No down here, and that just completes that cluster much better than the word ouch, and it just works just really well. It just boggles my mind why it took so long. It was just crazy. Anyway, in the end, all that matters is that I got there. So just using the paint pen, let it dry for a bit. And usually you need 2 layers, even if it's just 2 layers in part of the sections. So I'm just going to add some enamel dots, just in 3s. I originally thought I'd just put 3 in each cluster, but I do add a little bit more than 3 in each cluster, just because some are joined or close to each other and some are not. So that's going to be the end of the layout today. So hopefully you've enjoyed this layout and the way it's come together. Hopefully you are feeling very inspired and very creative and creating your butt off and having a good time. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye guys.